Welcome back to the Catnip Podcast. My name is Grace, and today is Monday, June 7th. This is a podcast about knitting, books, baking, and cats, but most importantly knitting, because that is what I love to do all day, every day. This is, I just said what this podcast was, and I was going to say it again for some reason. I had a week off, and I'm out of practice. I have social medias. If you'd like to follow me anywhere, I have Facebook, Instagram, oh goodness gracious. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Ravelry. I think that's the order that it just feels weird. Did it out of order by accident, and now I don't remember what I normally say. I also have show notes. The links to the things that I will be talking about will be on my blog. So if you're on YouTube, the link to my blog will be down below, or if you're on my blog already, everything is already there. I have started work at Pearly Girls, which is a yarn shop in Old Town Spring. If you would like to check out their website or come see us in person, all that stuff will be in the show notes and all the various places. You can go follow them on Instagram as well. All the fun stuff is everywhere. If you have any questions about anything, everything, just want to say hello, please feel free to send me a message. I love chatting. So yes. I took a week off because we were on a little vacation. Sam and I were, and it was very wonderful, and I have a lot of knitting to talk about. So we will just get into it and continue on with this podcast that apparently I'm going to stumble through because I haven't recorded in 2 weeks. But that's okay, you know. It is what it is. So if you like to grab something tasty to drink, something to snack upon, something to craft upon, an animal to snuggle, laundry to fold, maybe you're working out, maybe you're on your lunch break, maybe you are just relaxing and enjoying some downtime. Whatever makes you happy and brings you joy, you should do that, and you can come back and join me for some crafty chat. So, first of all, what am I wearing? I am wearing a very, very old knit of mine, and it's definitely one of my favorites, and it usually gets lost somehow in my massive amounts of knitwear that I have made over the years, and then every so often I find it again and I'm reminded about how much I love this. This is called Perseverance. It's just a basic triangular shawl, and it's got some fun linen stitch texture and some garter stitch sections, but I really think the fun thing is the yarn. You could really use this yarn in any pattern, and I feel like it would be beautiful. But I do love this pattern, which is Perseverance. I forget the designer name, but if you put in Perseverance on Ravelry, it should come up. I believe it might be a Knitty pattern, actually. I could be wrong, but this yarn is Noro Seku, which unfortunately is discontinued, but it's like their lace weight. It was a lace weight of theirs at some point, and it has their normal linen, silk, wool thing. But like, it's so drapey, and the colors are just so much fun, and it's like the perfect thing for summer, and it's like one of my favorite things that I've knit. I am glad that it has held up so long, and I always get compliments on this. My mom also has one exactly like this because she knit the same thing with the same yarn, so that is also very fun. But it's also it's very lightweight, just adds a little bit of pop of color, fun colors, very cool, not super overwhelming, which is what we need, especially on days like today where the humidity is like 5,000 degrees. That doesn't describe humidity, but you know what I mean. Percentages, that's what humidity is described as. So that's what I'm wearing. And yes, I do in fact have a lot to show you, and we have some funny stories, we have some funny things to discuss, we have some test knits to show off, some finished test knits, some projects that you've never seen before that are finished already. Because if I really put my mind to things, I can really get things done. It's quite amazing. So first off, this one that you have seen, I honestly can't remember. I'm very sorry. You may have already seen this finished. If you have not, then yay, I was right. I remembered correctly. But I could be remembering incorrectly, so if you've already seen this, I do apologize. But this is my finished Summer Sorrel by Wool and Pines Designs. This is a fingering weight, top-down, yoked, summery top. You can fade it. You can have as many or as few colors as you want. You can do a single color, and you have these like various, I don't know what you would call them, like drop-down stitches. I don't know. It looks very complicated, but it's not once you get the hang of it. And it's very fun, and as you can see, I've faded from this bright pink, which is Gossip, by Hedgehog Fibers. This middle color, which is a purpley color, which is Purple Tang, also by Hedgehog Fibers. And then this last blue color is Beach Bunny by Hedgehog Fibers as well. So this project has been brought to you by Hedgehog Fibers. Not sponsored, but it's all Hedgehog, which is all stash too, so that's really great. You can make this as long or as short as you want, body-wise, sleeve-wise. You can do anything, really. It is such a great, like, do whatever you want pattern. Yes, this neckline is very wide. It is just barely on that line for me of being too wide, but I have grown to love it as I have worn it to work and for pictures. If you follow me on Instagram, you've seen it on there already. But I don't know. There are ways around it. If you are going to knit this, I would suggest, if you have narrow shoulders, maybe trying to finagle a smaller neckline if you don't like things falling off your shoulders. I have wide shoulders already, and it's definitely on the line. And it all has to do with like the bust measurement, really, is because the neckline changes for the bust measurement, and so depending on what your measurement is, your neckline will be bigger. So there are ways around that. You can get really creative, and it's not super complicated. So it's a very fun pattern. It's a great summery top. I love it. Good stash buster. And I am so excited to be able to continue to wear this since I have it now. So it's done, and I love it. This was a summery knit along with Pearly Girls, which is super fun. So there are quite a few ladies at the shop that are working on this, have finished theirs already. It is truly wonderful, and I hope that we can all take a picture together when we're all done, because that's super fun. So that is that. That is my first finished object. Everyone, my second finished object has yet to be blocked because I procrastinated, but I finished a sweater in 3 days. I did indeed. It's nothing super complicated. It was on 7s, which is somewhat of a big needle with fingering weight, so that went super quickly. There's only a little bit of lace up at the top, and it's got short sleeves, and it's cropped. So like everything was working in my favor. It was while we were gone. I literally cast it on as we were pulling out of our apartment complex, and then finished it. I finished the sleeve, the second sleeve, after we got home. Sunday evening. Monday evening. Monday evening? Yes, I think. So this is a test knit, and this is, I can't remember the name of it now. The pattern's not out yet though, so this is a test knit for Annie of This Bird Knits. I have test knit for her several times before. She is wonderful to work with and creates very beautifully written patterns, and just beautiful patterns in general. So this is my sweater that I knit in 3 days. And here's my sleeve. Here's the body. Like I said, it's very short. It's cropped. And we love cropped things. It's wonderful. I understand if you don't like the look of crop things, that is wonderful. You are allowed your opinion. But I would also say if you don't feel like you can pull it off, give it a try, because you would be surprised at how forgiving crop tops can be. And crop tops is very, I feel like, very vague. Because like certain crop tops I know that I could not pull off well, and I know that I wouldn't like how they looked on me, and I formed that sentence weird, but that's okay. But other crop tops that also fall under that umbrella, I love, and I can rock them, and I feel great in them. So it really just depends, like, what is your crop top? What is your cropped length? What works best for you? My cropped length is not everybody's cropped length, because that's not where my waist is not necessarily where everyone else's waist is. So yes, this is also black yarn, and I realize that you can't really see what this is. The camera is having a hard time picking it up, and the lighting is going a little crazy, but that's okay. So we have this lace work up at the top, and this is actually the back, because we have some short rows in the back to lift up the back neck, but the front is exactly the same. It was super easy, very straightforward. I believe there are charted and written instructions if that is important to you. We love all the options. And yeah, so it's got short sleeves, but it could very easily be lengthened to a long sleeve. You would just have to adjust your yardage. You could lengthen the body. You could add waist shaping or body shaping, however you want to make it your own. Annie has a similar sweater to this that she came out with last year sometime, that I actually tested that one as well. That is called the Willa Tee. You may remember I knit it out of some Barocco Remix Light. It's purple, and I love it. It's amazing, and it's very similar to this in that there's lace up at the top, it's short sleeved, and it's kind of cropped. So there's also some lace up around the neckline. It's very fun. And everything is put on as you go, so you don't have to go back and pick up for the neckline. You just kind of tootle along until you have a wonderful, wonderful sweater. So this still needs to be blocked. Like I said, I still need to take pictures of this, but I did knit it in 3 days. That was my unofficial goal. I didn't really make it my goal until I had divided for the sleeves, and I was like, I can do this. I can do this. Because I think I divided for the sleeves the afternoon, early afternoon of our second day on our vacation. So I knew that with what we had planned to do, that I could just knit and knit and knit on a size 7 with fingering weight yarn until I got it done. And I did indeed get it done. So again, I really like this lace pattern. It looks very complicated. It is not at all. Very, very doable for an adventurous lace beginner, or if you're looking for something to step up your lace game. If you're wanting to try something more, would highly recommend. I'm not sure when exactly this pattern is coming out, but I know it will be coming out soon. I'm trying to remember when our deadline is. It's sometime in July, but that is very exciting. My next test knit that I have been working on and am maybe, I would say 70, 75, 80% done with. I am so close to being done. And I felt so good about where I was before we left that I didn't bring it with me, because I also had this new test knit that I wanted to work on. But this is my Recalibrate top by Shanna Lyons Designs, and I am so happy with this. So this is the front, and I can also turn it around, and this can be the front. We got pink in the front, or on one side, we got blue on the other side. I've got pink over here with my blue armhole, arm cuff? Yes, something like that. You know what I'm talking about. I've got a blue side panel over here on the other side, and then this sleeve will be pink. And I'm planning on doing a striped cast off as well. That leaves my neckline, which should be very quick and easy, and then I have a border around the bottom, which should also be very quick and easy, and then I am done. I am very close to being done with this, and it has just gone by so quickly. I feel like because it's all garter stitch and it's all like knit in a very fun, unique way that's super fun and very creative, and it's just constantly, like, it's always changing, but not in like an overwhelming, like, I have so many things to keep track of. It's not that way at all. It's just very like, this is fun. This is quite an adventure. We're just kind of going with the flow here, and we're rolling with the punches. And we can create a beautiful, fun sweater that has a bunch of fun colors. So the blue and pink parts are just like a mishmash of like stash yarn that I've had for forever that are probably in a bazillion other of my projects, like my Penguono, which is sitting here. I just recently organized my knits. I'm trying to be really organized. I'm really trying. It's very challenging for me, but it's probably my Penguono has almost everything, and my Marled Magic has all these yarns in it, but they've been in various things, and then the main two colors, this gray and this blue, are two of Heathered Handmaid's colors. The gray is Eraser Dust, and the blue is Robin's Egg, and they are on her sock base. I am so happy with this color combination. Like, I had something in my mind when I was trying to pull colors for this, and I was just going into it, I was like, wow, I can do a lot with this. I just don't know where to go. Because I thought about doing all pink, and I thought about doing all blue, and then someone from the testing group suggested that I do both, and I was like, that's a fun idea. So I did, and I'm loving how this is coming out. This is just so good. And then just with this neutral blue palette of these two colors together is exactly what I had envisioned in my mind. And it's just like, Heather's colors are so good. They are so beautiful. And I am very excited that I will have some left over for other projects. I am undecided what I'm going to do for my neckline, color-wise, and for my bottom, or the bottom border, I should say. I had thought about this dark gray that I have up here, not this teal color, but that dark gray I might use for the border at the bottom, and maybe for the neckline as well, because I do have a lot of that. But we'll see. I could do one pink, one the dark gray. That is an option. Fun fact, I knit a lot of this while watching The Mayor of Easttown, which is on HBO Max. There is quite a lot of language, so if that is a sensitive thing for you, then I would not recommend it. But if you like crime shows, you should definitely check that out. It is so good. So good. So I knit on a lot of this while watching that, and so this is very crime-filled memories, thoughts, in a very wonderful way. That sounds very dark and foreboding, but I really enjoyed knitting on this. And like, because it's all garter stitch, it's not too complicated that you can't be like, I can't do other things while I work on this, but it's interesting enough that you're not like, I have miles and miles of garter stitch to do, because though there's a time and a place for that, sometimes it can be a lot, but this is not that at all. It's all fun, modular knitting, fun color play. Like, how cool is that? Like, that's just so pretty. I love it. I'm so happy with how my colors turned out. So yes, this is the Recalibrate top by Shanna Lines Designs. Shanna is a wonderful person and so sweet. And she writes incredible patterns. So if you have not checked out her other patterns before, I would highly recommend. She, I feel like recently came out with a fun hat pattern that you can like wear a bunch of different ways, and I feel like that is also a very good stash buster, and I feel like would be good Christmas presents this year to also to stash bust and to knit quickly and not be bored by knitting several of the same pattern, you know? So I'm excited about that for thinking in the future, but now is the time to start thinking about Christmas presents, people. August is usually the time where I try and start thinking about it. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes I choose not to. Sometimes I make a choice and I don't. So we'll see what happens this year. But it is June, and the thought process has already started, so that's good. You know, that's real good. So I have a lot of projects to talk about. Or not a lot. Well, yeah, it is a lot compared to the amount that I've had to talk about in previous weeks. This is a lot. Well, I guess the testnet was one of them. So that was a work in progress. That should be done by next week. I would like to have that done by next week. I currently do not have any other tests on my needles. This Recalibrate top will be my last one, which I had planned because though there is a testnet that I am waiting for it to be announced, because I really, really want to do it. I'm waiting for this testnet to be announced so I can just like hop right in there immediately. I have all the notifications turned on. I really want that one. But besides that, I wanted to finish these other two testnets before July, which works because they're both due in July. But to finish them before July, because I believe the next make along, not knit along, but crochet along. I'm switching things up here. Crochet along with Pearly Girls again will be Ziggy Interrupted, which I've had my eye on for so long because it is beautiful. I know I had seen it around on Instagram. Sorry, this is going to be a little bit of a ramble. So we'll just put that project bag down on the floor so I don't wave it around with my hands. I know I'd seen it around on Instagram, but I didn't really know what it was called until Christy Glass did it. She made hers, I don't remember when she made hers. I feel like it was earlier this year, maybe? January seems like forever ago and also yesterday. So, I don't know. What is time? I don't even know. It's just a blur. So it's a crocheted scarf. I would call it a scarf. And I could not tell you what the crocheted techniques are other than you make a bunch of little granny squares and you have like these rows of granny squares at various points in the shawl scarf thing. There are stripes in between. I don't know what those are called. My crocheting ability is not quite up there. So this will be an adventure for me, but I'm excited because, again, because it's with Pearly Girls, there are several of us who are going to be making this. Some of us are not as good crocheters as others, so we will be looking to the crocheter pros in our group, which is nice. Also, YouTube is a thing. If we are at home and do not have access to help. But yeah, I'm very excited to use this to expand my ability. Also, I do remember, I know I haven't talked about it in like, I don't know how many months, probably since January, February, but I do have my temperature blanket, and I do have all of that I am very behind on now because I haven't been working on it, but I keep meaning to like sit down at some point and like try and crank through as many as I can. And at this point, I'm going to have to reteach myself how to do everything, but that's okay. I know, like, as I think about it, I feel pretty confident that I could probably do it without looking things up, but I'll probably have to look things up just to double check. So that is a thing. That is a crochet project. But the Ziggy Interrupted, like, the color palettes that people come up with are just the most beautiful thing. It's another good stash buster. You can play with as many or as few colors as you want. Just as long as you have the yardage the pattern calls for, you can really just do whatever you want. And I love those projects. If you've been watching this podcast for a long time, with the amount of Stephen West things that I knit and like fading, advent calendar, changing colors, using as many colors as I can, you would know that this is like right up my alley. So I'm very excited to pull a palette for that and pull yarn for that. I plan to like have just a big bag and have as many fun colors in a palette that I think is fun. I need to do some research, and by research, here's another fun fact. You know, if you're feeling uninspired, if you're trying to make a project that has more than one color or more than two colors potentially, and you're like, I just don't know what kind of colors am I looking at, I just don't know, there are websites that can help you. And it's really great. And you may already know this may be common knowledge, but I am always very appreciative of these things, and so I want to share this knowledge if you are feeling sometimes lackluster in your color picking abilities. So there are websites that you can like type in color palette generator, and then you can like pick a color that you want. Like if you already have a color that you want to use, you use that as a foundation, and then the whatever program website it is that they have will generate a palette of colors around the one that you have put in. It'll also do it randomly, so if you have no colors at all, it'll give you a fun random palette. You can pick like a color that they give you to generate a palette around. And it's super fun. And like, obviously it's not a set in stone palette. You don't have to follow those colors to a T unless you really want to. But if you see a palette that you like and you know you have yarns that kind of work in that general scheme of things, I find that to be super helpful. Because it's true, like, I mean, though I know I'm good at picking colors and I know that I really enjoy that, and I find sometimes it can be overwhelming and I don't like making decisions. Hello, I am a 9. But sometimes I'm just like, I have no idea what direction to go in. Do I go bright? Do I go neutral? Do I go green? Do I go purple? I don't know. I want both of them, but I don't know how to make them work with other colors. And so then I go to the wonderful internet, the wonderful resource of the internet. Also, if I don't want to do that much work, because that does require a little bit of work and kind of playing around. If I just want to go and look at pretty pictures and be inspired, you can go to Instagram, but I would also recommend Pinterest. And if you know, like, you want an orange themed, orange based color palette of sorts, you can go to Pinterest and you can search orange color palettes or orange palettes or anything like that, and it will come up with so many fun palettes with a very inspirational picture to go with it usually. And you can kind of like pick and choose. You can take different palettes and kind of like mush them together in your mind and come up with a yarny palette for your for whatever project you may so desire. I feel like it's really good for fades as well. Though I feel like you need specific yarns for fades. Seeing fading colors, and the same thing goes for these websites that generate palettes. You can have palettes be created in a fading order, so it kind of helps you see, I feel like, and be able to find colors that are similar to the ones that you see, so you have a more seamless fade. Does any of that make sense? I feel like I was just saying words. I feel like it's helpful in finding fades from whether it be in the same color family, whether it be changing from different colors. If I want to like not start with my yarn, if that makes sense, like sometimes I'll start with my yarn. Sometimes I'll be like, I need to pick a color palette. I'll dump all my yarn out. Not all my yarn, but a lot of my scraps and stuff like that. I'll dump it all out as much as I can, and then I'll kind of piece together a color palette that I like and then add full skeins to it that I need. That's one way that I do it. Or if I don't want to start with my yarn and I'm just feeling very confused about where I want to go with my colors, I'll go to the internet first and kind of pull a couple that I like. And then there's also like, you don't even have to put a color in a palette. On Pinterest, you can put like cottage color palette, like cottage core color palette. You can put fairy color palette. You could put mermaid color palette. You could put tropical color palette, and the options are literally endless because it's the internet, and people have put together some incredible pictures and color palettes for so many different kinds of uses, and it works for knitting, and it's so helpful. So my tip to you, if you take anything away from this episode, take away this. Use the internet if you're feeling lost with your color palettes. It is so helpful, and it's also just really fun to play around with and see colors that get generated or put together by other people that you may not put together necessarily. And I feel like I've done it so much, and this has helped me figure out like what colors I like together and what colors I know work together really well. So it's kind of like almost an educational thing as well. You're kind of teaching yourself what you like, what works well, and then just having fun, because color is fun. And then you put it with knitting, and then you put it with like making things, and it's all just so wonderful. So would highly recommend. I will try and remember to do that in the show notes. In fact, I think I actually have a Pinterest board of like color palettes that I have saved over the years for stuff. So I'll try and link that in my show notes if that's something that you're interested in, and then I'll also link some websites that do the color generator things, because it is very helpful and would highly recommend. That was a lot of talking. Let us take a little beverage break. Whatever you may be drinking, I do have coffee that is kind of cold now, but that's okay. You know what? It's fine. We'll pretend it's iced coffee. Maybe? I don't know. So, next up, we have 3 projects to talk about that are not test knits that I have worked on, and I have made good progress. Whether it seemed like a lot, I have worked on them. I have sat down specifically and worked on them and made progress. So we are going to consider that a win, regardless of how far away, how many rows have passed since the progress keeper was put. Right? Progress is good progress. Any progress is good progress. Let's start with this one. So this is my Lumpy Space by Stephen West. I made good progress on this. Where's my stitch marker? There it is. Ah, yes. See? That's pretty good. That's a good amount of knitting done, and I've done the first row of eyelets on the border. So this is an elongated shawl scarf thing. I don't know what exactly you call it. It's by Stephen West, so you can, as you can imagine, it's an odd shape, it's odd construction. Wonderful learning opportunity. Would highly recommend. Again, a great way to play around with colors and use those color palette generators. Good stash buster too. So my yarns, I got all of these yarns from Maker and Stitch. This middle one, I don't actually have the yarns with me, but I do have the ball bands. We're going to try and do this by memory because I did it last week, or last time. This is Farmer Daughters Fibers in the Foxy Lady base. in the rough customer. It's rough or tough, I can't remember. Either way, I'm counting it right. This gray stripe, which I know is kind of hard to see, there's a gray stripe in there. That is antique lace in the Fino. Oh, the antique lace colorway in the Fino base from Manos del Uruguay. The blue is Hue Loco singles, and it is the Hoarfrost colorway. And then my green is striped with this rough, tough custom or whatever. My green is Knick. I did remember. Whether I'm saying it right, I'm not positive. Knick from Farmer's Daughter's Fibers, and it is the Odang base. So it is the Surrey alpaca. It is amazingly soft. And yeah, so I'm just striping it. I'm on the last section. The first 3 sections went very quickly because they were few stitches. And the construction was very interesting. And now I'm just knitting around this entire blob until I'm done. So my rows are very long, as you can see, and that is what has slowed me down, which I knew would happen. So I'm loving this. I'm also debating, I think I mentioned this before already, but I have this mohair that I just love trying to put in with anything and everything, and it's this color, and it never shows up correctly on my camera. So it may be showing up correctly on the computer, how you're seeing this. I don't know. I don't remember the name of this colorway. Like, I can see the ball band, I just cannot remember the name, and like, I want to say it, but I can't remember what it is. Ooh, and I also have mohair fuzz in my eye now. But it is Hedgehog Fibers. It is the mohair. The fuzz is gone. That's good. I don't remember what this is. It's something like Slurp or something random like that. But it's like the most electric purple. And I think I'm gonna do that on the Pico bind off around this whole thing, which will take forever. And maybe doing it in mohair is a bad idea. Maybe that may just be too much. But I kind of love the idea of it, especially with this green that I'm using. It's a possibility. I have a while to decide if I want to do that or not. But I may also do the Pico bind off in the gray. Or the blue, really. I mean, I could do pretty much whatever I wanted to. Or like a dark gray. That would also be very pretty. So, I do have my Pop-Tart Progress Keeper, which is from Little Bitty Delights. Keep slipping around. Here is my Pop-Tart. Love a Pop-Tart. And then my Gilmore Girls stitch marker from A Needle Runs Through It. So yes, you do, this is very odd construction. I've said it once, I will say it again. This is just very strange. And you do create these massive yarn over holes, and it's because you do a yarn over 3 times and then you make 6 stitches out of it, so that creates that like big space. And it's super fun. It's very, very fun. It's not as overwhelming as you might think it would be because it is a very odd thing, but it's very straightforward, and you don't do a lot of weird things at once, if that makes sense. You're just like, okay, I'm doing a lot of just knitting in the round, and it's garter stitch, so then you knit 1 round, purl 1 round because it's in the round, and then you have these random big old yarn overs thrown in, and that's fine. And then you do something else, but you don't do a bunch of things at once, which I think is very nice and makes it more manageable. And you don't have yarn over rows like the eyelet rows all the time, which again is very nice and like manageable. So if you're looking something that's very different and you want a Stephen West pattern, would highly recommend this pattern. It is very fun. Lumpy Space. He has several other shawls that are similar, but they are also different in their own way, but they have that same like big yarn over elongated shape, which I think will be a very fun shape to wear. I feel like it will be very scarf-like while also being very still a shawl, if that makes sense, because it will be long, but it'll also be wide. That's my thought process anyway. So that's Lumpy Space. Next up, let's talk about this, because I haven't talked about it in a long, long time. This is my pink Fizz. It's Fizz. It's not fuzz, even though it's fuzzy, but it's not fuzz, it's Fizz. Pink Fizz by Andrea Mowry. Goodness gracious, people, I love this pattern so much. I started working on it again. There's someone who comes to Pearly Girls that is currently almost done with hers, and I saw it this past Thursday, and I was just like, oh, just so beautiful, so beautiful. And she had done this beautiful like emerald green, and it was just so stunning, and it reminded me, oh, you have one too, you know, you're working on yours. So here's my pink Fizz. I have done some. I did move my progress keeper, and I've done a fair amount, I feel like, you know. Doesn't look like much, but let's also keep in mind there's 4 panels, 4 massive panels of very seemingly intense Japanese lace, which is just the most stunning thing ever, and I'm loving knitting it, but it does take time. And it's so much fun. I feel like these kinds of things, I know I've talked about this before, like how beautiful is that? Can we even? Like what? I love having complicated projects. I love that. I feel like it stretches my mind, so Siggy Interrupted will be just really great. It'll be complicated for me. Complicated for me is not complicated for you. Whatever stretches your knitting mind in some way. And then also something, I feel like also like it stretches your mind, but also I feel like having to stop and think about it and like go slowly is also very, it's peaceful sometimes. Sometimes it can be stressful, but sometimes it can be peaceful. It's also very, I feel like that's very beautiful in a way, because you're like, I am slowing down. I could be knitting really fast, but I have to slow down for this one portion. These 4 lace panels, I have to slow down, and I have to really think about what I'm doing. And I have to make sure I don't mess up this lace panel, because if I do, I know it won't look right. And doing this, there are some things that I haven't done before. I have to remember how to do them. And I think that's really cool. I feel like that makes me personally appreciate this project more, because I am going more slowly, and I can appreciate the beauty of these stitch patterns, and also just like enjoy how they look and enjoy the process of knitting them, if that makes sense. I also got this yarn at Maker and Stitch. I am using, I know this. I'm not going to, I know I have the yarn just right down here, but I can remember. It's Fiber Company. The gray is Fiber Company. I don't remember the base, don't remember the name. It's, I feel like it's something like bed straw. Something straw. Bed straw? I feel like it is. And then the pink mohair, peachy mohair, I should say, it's more peachy, is Farmer Daughter's Fibers in the Mighty Mo colorway. And I do believe it's called Peachy Keen. I could be wrong. I think that's right. Okay, here we go. Moment of truth. Don't lose stitches. Fiber Company, bed straw. I was right. And I would not call this a bed straw color, but whatever. So I somehow remembered that. And this is the Meadow base. This is the Rustic Luxury base. You can see llama, silk, linen, and wool. So this is very nice. I really like the drape. There we go, sorry. Tongue helps focus cameras. I don't know why. Sticking in your tongue. Don't ask me why. Don't ask me when I learned that, but I feel like I've known that for a long time. Anyway, this is one of my colors. And then what I'm also holding together, oh no, it's not Peachy Keen. I don't know why I thought that. It's Dumpling. I thought it was something, I feel like I thought it was like a foodie thing and it had to do with peaches, but no, it's Dumpling. These two together is what is creating this beautifulness, and I think this is just so stunning. There's so many beautiful versions of this out there on the internet and Instagram, mainly if you look at the hashtag Pink Fizz or Pink Fizz sweater. I was very undecided picking my colors. I had a very hard time of figuring out, did I want like a light one? Did I want a neutral one? Did I want a fun one? Did I want a black one? Because there are some beautiful black ones out there and it is just so stunning. Or like a gray base and a black mohair, or other way around, black base with a gray mohair. Like, it's just so beautiful. So if you are looking for a bit of a challenge, if you've knit several sweaters before and you want to try some fun lace and experience the beauty of this lace, I would highly recommend this pattern. It is Andrea Mowry, and her patterns are well written. In my mind, you do have to follow them pretty closely though, especially this one. And I believe it's just charted. I could be wrong. The lace, I mean. And there are definitely mistakes in my lace that I have noticed and I didn't notice before until after I had like set it down and picked it back up. But since I hadn't noticed them before, I am not going to worry about it. It kind of creates the same thing. All the panels may not look exactly the same, but it's close. So that's all that really matters, you know. So I also have my Luke's Diner mug from Little Bitty Delights with the donut that's on top that I love dearly. It's one of my favorites. And yeah, I love this project. Everything about this project just brings me joy. I know I say that about a lot of my projects, and I would say that's true for all of my projects as well, but some I'm just reminded of the joy and the memories of like getting the yarn or starting the project or like researching the project or when I got the yarn or whatever. And it's just like I remember being very content when I started this. I remember being very content while working on this. I remember having so much fun picking out this yarn. So I love those projects. I know that I feel like all my projects have a little bit of that in them, but some more than others for whatever reason. And this is one of them, and I love that. So that is Pink Fizz by Andrea Mowry. Love it. It will not be done anytime soon, but I do not need a mohair sweater anytime soon. Regardless, if I travel to Colorado to see my parents, I won't need it then unless it's like very early in the morning. But even then, like I don't need a sweater with mohair, but I will be ready to go when it gets cold here, whenever that happens. Or when I go see my parents in Colorado. So, my last project that I worked on, we will all be very proud. We will be very proud because I finally divided for my sleeves, and I'm very proud. We have another Andrea Mowry pattern. I feel like I didn't even realize that I had several of her patterns going at the same time, but I am just loving it. This is my Wool and Honey. Everyone I divided for my sleeves. Like, can we even? Also, I'm being very blown out right now, but that's okay. The point is not me, the point is the sweater. Can we even? How beautiful is that? Can we even? My yarn is Knit Picks Palette in the Pumice Heather colorway. This is a top down. We have elongated stitches. We have cables that create this beautiful honeycomb pattern. It looks very complicated. It is not. If you follow your pattern pretty closely, it will not be a problem at all, but you do have to, especially the setup part, you do have to follow it pretty closely. So I have divided for the sleeves. It's very drop shouldery, so my body, I won't have to knit the body for very long. But I am so excited, everyone. I've been knitting on this for so long. And I finally am to the body. So now I'm just knitting garter stitch in the round, which I feel like I had not really done a whole bunch, though it's very easy. I hadn't really done it a whole bunch, and now I have 2 projects that have garter stitch in the round, and it's not my favorite, but it's worth it for both projects. It's very, very 100% worth knitting around and purling around. You do what you gotta do. So I do have my progress keeper from last time I showed it to you, but clearly I've divided for my sleeves, and it's just real great. I am so happy with how this is turning out. I am just about done with this ball of yarn. I have several more. The sleeves will also be garter stitch in the round. There are not any more honeycombs. I'm done with those. Which I'm happy and sad about. I did really enjoy doing them. As you can see, it kind of comes to a point almost. There's a bunch, and then it just kind of, they get bigger, and then it goes down to 1. It's very hard to see with them on the needles, but oh, I am so happy with how this is turning out. I've wanted one of these sweaters for a very long time. Same thing with Pink Fizz. When these 2 sweaters came out, I was just like, I don't know when I'm gonna knit them, but I'm 100% gonna knit them at some point. I don't know when, but I need those sweaters. I need to figure out what my colors are gonna be, but I'm gonna knit them, and I am going to love them because they are so pretty. So gorgeous. The garter stitch it creates a very squishy fabric, which I really like. Normally, depending on the yarn, I would be a little hesitant for garter stitch, especially in a garment, because garter stitch does tend to be, it can be very heavy, or because it's like so springy, it can sag very easily, and so it can just cause things to lose their shape. With shawls, you don't really have to worry about that as much because it's like up around your neck, and you don't usually like hang those necessarily, but they're shawls, they're not like sweaters. So if you have like a bunch of garter stitch, it's just gonna hang and it will sag, and then your sweater will lose its shape, and then it won't look the same anymore, even if you try and block it again. But that is not the problem with this. I think it's like a combination of using like a wooleny spun, like a 2-ply yarn. I think that helps. And then also just like having these cables and like these knit honeycomb sections or stitches or whatever you want to call them, that helps. And I think just also the nature of the yarn is very nice. I think if you did this with a smoother yarn, like a normal sock yarn, it may sag more because it may be a little bit more weighty, but because this is so airy, and Andrea Mowry used Brooklyn Tweed Loft, which is very similar to Knit Picks palette, I feel like. Loft, I think, is a little bit more rustic, but the construction is the same, and the content is not the same. No, it's not the same, but I mean, it's same idea. So I think because of that, it creates a very nice, like, not like I have to pull on it for it to come down, I guess, if that makes sense. It doesn't just like hang. It's very squishy. And I love this yarn. I know it wears so well, and I think it's just going to be so good for this sweater. And yeah, like I just can't even. What is this? What is this? We've got a pulled stitch. I was knitting, what was I doing? Oh, I was knitting on this, but I was wearing my summer sorrel, and I have a watch that I wear a lot of the time. It's pink and sparkly, and it's my favorite. It's a swatch. I've had it for several years now. I got it for Christmas. It's my favorite. But like it kept snagging my honeycombs on my woolen honey, and then it kept snagging those little like elongated stitches on my summer sorrel, because there were some that had come down pretty far, and because I was like knitting, you can't really see, but because I was knitting, my watch was snagging them, and I kept looking down and I was like, why is this stitch being pulled so much? And then I realized it was my watch. So be aware, jewelry and watches can be an issue, especially of things that can be easily snagged. But easily fixable, so not too big of a problem, but definitely something to keep an eye out. That is all the knitting that I have. I've talked for almost an hour at this point. This has been a lot. Thank you for sticking around if you watch this entire thing. I hope you enjoyed your beverage, or snack, or animal snuggles, or laundry. I have a lot of laundry to do, but we're not going to think about that. So, thank you so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate you spending time with me, also understanding when I take time off, because that is important for me. I think it's really great. I'm very proud of myself for taking time off this year, as much time as I've taken off. I think that's really great. I have all the various social medias. I have show notes. There's Pearly Girl information that will also be available. If you just want to say hi, feel free to send me a message. I'm most active on Instagram. I would love to chat. We can talk about our projects. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. If you have crafty plans, I hope that they are successful as your week continues on. I have a lot of crafty plans. I also feel like I want to cast something on, but I really don't know. We're just going to have to wait and see. Also because of this test knit that I'm not sure when it will be announced. But I have things that I want to cast on. Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. Excuse me. That was a very sudden yawn. That was a very big yawn. Woo. Clearly my coffee did nothing. Anyway, show notes, social media, all that jazz, crafty plans. That is all that I have for you guys. It was a big episode, but I had so much fun getting to catch up with you and show you what I've been working on and what I've finished. Keep your eye out for the various things that will be coming out. This Bird Knits sweater, and then also the Recalibrate top by Shanneline's Designs. They are coming out soon, so keep your eyes peeled. They are both amazing patterns, and I cannot recommend them to you enough. That is all that I have for you guys this week. Who knows, maybe I'll have a new cast on next week. I don't know. I really have just now thought about that, so we'll just have to wait and see. I may feel the urge to cast something on, but I also really just am very happy with working on the things that I have going right now. I'm very content with my knitting, and I love it. So that is all that I have for you guys this week. Thank you so much for watching, spending time with me. You are wonderful. You are amazing. You are just so great. Thank you for watching this podcast and subscribing and talking with me. I love it so much. And with that, I will see you guys next week. Bye.